What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, aka P Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos by hitting that notification bell. Buy a subscribe button. As well, if you'd like to donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, you can do so. Looking at the ticker right there, Cash App, $ BJ Matthews. Again, $ BJ Matthews. You know what I'm saying? Another good episode for y'all today, man. We're gonna be talking about Trae Young. Just news broke out yesterday uh by NBA insider Shans Chrisma that Trae Young and Nate McMillan are on somewhat of a tension thing. Y'all can see right there in the tweet. It says sources: Hawks Trae Young and Coach Nate McMillan had an exchange and Friday night shoot around that led to Young choosing not to attend the team's home win over the Denver Nuggets. Details on the dynamic and managing tensions around the Hawks. All right, so this story just broke just yesterday that Trae Young and Nate McMillan have had some little bit of a disagreement. From what I read, um, the situation really went like this. You know, Trae Young on Friday they were playing the Denver Nuggets. I guess they're at home, and they have shoot arounds before the game starts. Y'all know in basketball they have what they call shoot arounds. Basically, before the game start, like about probably a couple hours or hour before the game start, they have. Well, I'm sorry, the morning of before the game, they have what they call a shoot around where they go through walkthroughs, get up shots, go through plays, stuff like that. And Trae Young was, you know, in the treatment room, and I guess Nate McMillan came in and he basically asked Trae Young, "Are you going to be attending shoot around?" Or told him, you know, are you going to attend shoot around? And Trae Young was basically in the treatment room and said, "No, he needs to get his shoulder, um, some treatment on his shoulder. I guess his shoulder has been hurting him." And Nate McMillan pretty much, you know, told him, you know what, either you come to shoot around and you play like you know regularly, or you're not going to come to shoot around and you're going to have to come off the bench, or you just don't come to the game at all. So Trae Young decided not to come to the game or come to shoot arounds, which led him not to be able to play on Friday night. According to sources, though, he did practice yesterday and he will be playing today against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So um, this is Trae Young's on his Twitter just yesterday saying, waking up to public statements about my private life. Y'all can see Trae Young's tweet right there. Um, and if we go into just the situation, what happened, um, let me see if I can pull up the actual. All right, you know what? We'll just go ahead and skip that. We don't even need to talk about that. Let's just go to this. Let's get to the point. So upon hearing what happened between Trae Young and Nate McMillan, I was just looking at like, you know what? So what? Like, why is this even really a story? Like, players and coaches have disagreements in sports, and when I was looking at that situation, it wasn't something that was just a deal breaker. Like, okay, you had something where a coach, you know, asked you to come to shoot around. You obviously are not feeling well enough to play, go to shoot around. You don't feel like going. You want to get treatment, and it's just a matter of, you know, you guys had a day where you guys didn't see eye to eye on stuff, right? So I was just like, what's the big deal? Why is such a blow up? But then I started looking a little bit deeper, and I came across this. Um, Basically, that Trae Young has been having issues with the entire team, not even the entire team, but certain players. John Collins, you know, had problems with Trae Young just a couple of seasons ago. Um, that he had a problem with how he played Trae Young in the offense in Atlanta. He felt like they were, you know, getting up shots too quickly or not getting in the offensive sets, and not playing real team basketball. That's what Sean Collins, the power forward of the Atlanta Hawks, had to say. Um, Trae Young also had a problem with his former coach, Lloyd Pierce, the coach before Nate McMillan came. Not really saying that he didn't respect him. He just didn't think that Pierce was a good coach in, you know, late game situations, right? So this ain't Trae Young's first time he's had a problem with a coach. Um, Now you hear stuff here and there saying Trae Young selfish, Trae Young wants to play for himself, things of that nature. Um, I watched Trae Young quite a bit. I think he's a top 5 point guard. I do think he's a showsman. I think he can be a liability on defense. Him being undersized, I think 6 foot. Um, you know, his team demands him to play a lot of offense. I think he's the best offensive player in the league next to Luka Doncic. You talk about the points and assist ratio dynamic. Um, So my thoughts about it is like when I started seeing like his history with the Atlanta Hawks with John Collins and then the coach before Lloyd Pierce, and then it looks like Nate McMillan. They've been having some tension going there as well, where they had like team meetings before the season started to try to iron out conflicts and stuff like that. I'm saying this has probably been brewing for quite some time. So that's why that little incident that happened on Friday with Trae Young getting treatment on his shoulder, I'm guessing what the deal was basically that they were kind of butting heads, for quite some time, and Trae Young kind of just threw a jab at him and just said, you know what, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do like a tit for tat type of thing, right? Now, what does this lead to? Because I'm hearing people say Trae Young, probably gonna get either traded, or he's gonna end up leaving because he just signed a 5-year deal. Was a couple of seasons ago. He just signed a 5-year deal, so he's still locked in for about uh 3 seasons unless he gets traded. So my thing is, where is he gonna get traded to? Everyone's saying get traded, get traded, get traded. Well, you just signed DeJounte Murray to team up with him. You gotta think like, what was the point of signing DeJounte Murray if you just go ahead and trade Trae Young? It doesn't make sense, right? Now, I think DeJounte is a big factor in this because I think he makes up for some of the things that Trae Young lacks, which is being a two-way player, which is being a more, um, I guess you could say, controlled guard, bigger size, um, right? So it can make Trae Young actually focus more on just the offensive end, right? I don't know why would people say they're gonna trade him. Like, who are they gonna trade him for? Like picks? Who are you gonna trade him for? And what was the point of bringing DeJounte Murray to the Hawks if you're gonna up and just trade him? Like I said, coaches and players argue and get into it if you're around each other a long time. So I'm not moving Trae Young off this team, bro, unless you give me back another star player. And there's not too many star players that are going to be leaving their teams. Like if you're a star player, you're pretty much going to stay where you're at, unless you're going to ask for a trade. So I think if the Hawks don't do well in the playoffs this year, or they don't do well, I think Nate McMillan is going to be gone before Trae Young is gone. So um, it's a players' league. The players usually always get the benefit of the doubt over the coaches. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes, man. So I don't see the Hawks moving off of Trae Young unless they can get like another valuable piece back, or Trae Young has such a horrible playoffs where they start thinking to themselves, well, this guy probably can't lead us to a championship. Because the Hawks roster ain't, to me, deep enough to even get them to a serious run to the championship. I've said this the last couple of seasons. I think Trae does so much for them offensively that it's amazing that he's averaging 9 over close to 10 points, 10 assists a game, right? So he can't be that selfish, right? But that's all I gotta say about that. Continue to look to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull it out. Peace. I like swim well.